Hello, my name is Larry Martin and I'm a solutions consultant with Beyond 20. Today we're going to show you two additional features that were added in version 9.5 that are going to be fairly useful. These particular features aren't necessarily going to be used by everyone when you have a test and prod environment, but they are new features that were added and could be useful for some customers. So what we're referring to is the ability to add reports and stored import definitions into a blueprint. So when you're moving from a dev to prod or test to prod environment, you can include those in your blueprint. Now again, a lot of customers may not do this. You may not have stored imports and you may not have reports, or you go ahead and do those on your prod system, which we don't usually like to dev in prod, but these particular items aren't impacting other functionality necessarily. So in a lot of cases we do find that customers just do those on their prod environment. However, if you're following proper process and ensuring that you're testing everything properly before you move it into production, which is advised for everything, even things of this nature, having the ability to move those reports and stored imports from your test environment up to your production environment is very nice to have in a blueprint. So a couple of things about this. I would actually recommend that for both of these items that you follow the mechanism where you still create them in your test environment outside of a blueprint. So in a test environment for a report, most of the time you'll come in and go Tools, Reports, Report Manager, and then you'll create your report, you'll modify it, edit, test it, run it a few times, make sure everything is where you need it to be. Once you're through testing that, a lot of times you'll actually just export the report, drop it out, you'll highlight a report and you'll go File, Export, and you'll export that definition and then you'll import it into your production system. Well, instead of doing that, you can now manage that through a blueprint, which is a little bit nicer, especially if you have other changes that are happening in the system. Maybe that report is part of some blueprint changes that you've made in your system. So anyhow, I would recommend that you go ahead and create the report in the rich client of your dev or test environment. Same with the stored imports. I would actually come into your admin client, go to the database and do a stored import definition manager here. Create it, test it, validate it, make sure everything's right. Then I would go in and create a new blueprint. I would go to my managers and you'll see that we have a new reports manager and a new stored imports manager. Now a lot of people may not be aware of this. Many of you will be. But if you have a series of reports in your blueprints, in your global folder, or any other item really in the system, many of those items you can right click and add to blueprint. And this is the way I would recommend doing this, because creating a new report is, unless you're a really great report writer, it's a bit cumbersome to begin with. So creating that report out of the manager and expecting it to work exactly the way you'd like and validating it just isn't something that's going to happen for most of us. So we want to go into the rich client, create that report, make sure it's working exactly right, then come back into our blueprint that maybe we have open for, we created a new report based on new fields that we added. So we'll come in here and grab the report that we created in the rich client and simply add it to that same blueprint that we're going to publish to prod now that we've tested everything out. Same thing with our stored import. We've tested it out, we've validated it, we know that the data is working. So we would then grab, I'm going to create one real quickly here. Let's see if I have a file that I can use real quick. I don't. So anyhow, same as with the report, once we've created that in our stored import manager, we would be able to go to Managers, Stored Imports, right click on the stored import and add it to the blueprint. That way when we save and publish our blueprint, that stored import, that report, both of those items will be in the blueprint, so we can then publish those up to prod, because Prod and Dev are going to be in sync when we start our blueprint in Dev. We'll do our blueprint, add the additional fields where we need to add them, then come to our managers, come to our reports manager, right click on one of the reports, add it to the blueprint. Go to our stored imports manager, right click on the stored import, add it to the blueprint. Save and publish that blueprint to test, revalidate everything is perfect, and then take that blueprint and publish it up to our prod environment. Anyhow, I hope you find this information useful. It is new features available in Cherwell 9.5. They will make some things a lot easier. It's not a major benefit over manually exporting and importing, but it is nice to be able to keep everything in your blueprint so that you don't have to remember, oh, I have this report that I cannot add to the new system until I've published blueprint X. By being able to add the report right in the blueprint, especially if you've got a couple of weeks between publishing from dev to prod because you're following an agile cycle of some sort, being able to have that in the blueprint so that you don't publish your blueprint and then go try to run a report and remember, oh, I forgot to import the report. Having it right in that blueprint is going to be a great benefit for you. Anyhow, I hope you find this information useful. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do produce videos on a frequent basis. If you have a question, you can always post that to the YouTube channel, email us or tweet us, and we will either respond with an answer directly or we'll post a video showing you how to do what you've asked. Thank you.